Sup, guys? Fat Alpharius here, bringing another 40k review. Today, we're going to be covering one of the most deceptive and sneaky of all the Chaos Space Marine legions, the Deceptors, aka Alpha Legion. So we're doing a full-on detachment review that covers all their special rules, their enhancements, their stratagems, some of the units make them pop. By the way, they got a lot of those. And then at the end of this, I actually have a few lists I want to show you guys. I'll hopefully give you an idea of some of the directions to take them. As usual, if you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing. At the very least, if you guys could give the video a thumbs up, that really does help the channel. Gets more, like, eyeballs on the channel, helps the metrics, all that sort of stuff. So if you don't mind taking a moment to hit that icon, I would appreciate it. Super quick, like, channel update. We are almost to 3,000 subscribers. I think last I checked, we're like 30 subs away. That is crazy. I didn't even think that after like a decade I'd even have like 1,000 subscribers. So the fact that we're already at triple that, yeah, blows my mind. We'll see. Maybe I'll try to do something special when we hit it. I don't know. We'll see. No promises there. But regardless, obviously I couldn't do it without you guys. So you watching right now, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Even if you're not a subscriber, like, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. As usual, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, whether it's about Alpha Legion, CSM, 40k in general, any of that sort of stuff, you guys are welcome to reach out. I will always go out of my way, especially new players. I will make sure that I get your questions answered. I'll give you my advice on stuff. So again, don't hesitate at all to reach out to me with any sort of questions, any suggestions, any of that sort of stuff. I love interacting with you guys. That's like my favorite part of this channel. So again, don't be afraid to reach out. Regardless, so with that all out of the way, Deceptors, what's so special about these guys? Why are so many people talking about them? Well, there's been a lot of hype behind these guys, for sure. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were one of the first legions, previewed by, Games Workshop. So we had, advance notice of the awesomeness coming our way. Well, beyond, the Detachment Rule and all that stuff, which obviously we'll get to in a moment, we're talking about Alpha Legion, dude. This is literally, this is straight up, the sickest freaking Legion in all of 40k, at least on the Chaos side. They are by far, one of the more, lore-rich and obviously, mysterious legions in, in CSM. Are they really the bad guys? Maybe they're actually good? Didn't they help the Emperor during the Horus Heresy? All this fun stuff going on in the background. If you guys haven't read about Alpha Legion, you're, interested in them, 100,000%. This is one of the legions you want to, look up lore videos on or read the wikis on, all that sort of stuff. Because, for real, man, literally, I obviously, I looked up some of the lore before recording this video, and I got confused yet again. I'm like, are they the good guys? I don't know. If I'm not mistaken, they're, working with the Cabals or something. So there is some funky stuff going behind. Also, is Alpharius dead? Is Omegon still alive? Yeah, dude, I freaking love them from a fluff perspective, so you got a lot going on there. I will say, too, they've always been, a popular legion, and what's funny to me is even people who, don't play CSM or don't really care for them normally, even they love Alpha Legion, because for real, man, yeah, the lore behind them is that awesome. But on top of all that, they're coming at you with an awesome detachment ability. We'll get into the specifics in a moment, but these guys are going to be able to cause mayhem from, before the game even starts, and definitely the first turn. That's definitely something I'm excited, and I think will be fun. You know, it's a Chaos Legion, so to have a chaotic start of the game is, mucho. I definitely like that. Also, they have some of my favorite enhancements and stratagems I've ever seen. The enhancements, dude, I'm so excited to get in the enhancements with you guys, because it really does, it's what makes this army pop. Yeah, they're some of the most unique ones I've ever seen. Some of them suck, one of them, really sucks. One of them is amazing, or, sneaky amazing. Yeah, I'm excited to get into that with you guys. Their stratagems, too, beyond the enhancements, being able to, blow up a vehicle, that is such an Alpha Legion thing, to, automatically blow up a vehicle. Also, yeah, dude, I am, very much looking forward to getting used on, a Corn Lord of Skulls or something wild like that. Another thing I love, so I've always I don't play it, competitively, usually, but I do, I am drawn to, Hero Hammer, so when you bring a boatload of characters, this is the Hero Hammer Legion, at least for Chaos. This is, the army you choose if you want to bring a bunch of characters. With that Soul Link enhancement, you got nothing but options. Being able to pick, you got on-demand buffs for your characters, I freaking love it, man. Beyond that, you can attach the generic characters, at least. You can attach them to Legionaries in the sort, or even Cultists if you want to go Dark Commune route. So you can, get your characters in position to, charge people first turn, all that sort of fun stuff. Again, if you're into Hero Hammer, this is, the perfect place to be. Finally, it doesn't work for the generic kits, but if you get like the Horus Heresy stuff and you know, maybe a 3D printer, that sort of stuff, they have the sickest look, man. They're like dragon scale armor. I freaking love it. These like TTS doesn't do it justice. If you haven't looked at them before, like definitely like Google a few of them. It's some of the most beautiful armor in 40k. I'd be tempted to use that even on other legions, even on like generic regular loyal space marines or whatever. I would love to use that dragon armor. I guess maybe the, like, salamanders, maybe they have similar, but regardless, I love Alpha Legion's look. It's awesome. Beyond that, you know, you got the sneaky, like, covert ops look going on as well. It's beautiful. Oh, yeah, the Exodus model, if you guys haven't seen it, go Google it right now. The Exodus is my favorite model in history. I looked up and down for one to put into TTS, but I couldn't find it. The closest was this little guy right here. He doesn't get anywhere close to how awesome that guy is, but for sure, if you're looking for cool models or awesome kit bashes of that, yeah, dude, Alpha Legion, definitely worth looking into. Anyway, so with that all out of the way, we can get on to Detachment Rules. So these guys have Masters of Misdirection. In the Declare Battle Formation step, you can select a number of Legionaries and Cultist Mob units from your army. Until the end of the battle, those units, and any characters attached to them, excluding epic heroes, have the Infiltrate ability. The maximum number of units you can select in this way depends on the battle size. So if you're doing 2k, you can bring up to 3 of each. That is crazy. Obviously, 1k, you can bring 2 of each. That's still powerful, even if you're doing small games. Nobody does big games that I'm aware of, not very often, but you can bring 4 in that case. Either way, man, 3 Legionaries and 3 Cultists, that's like low-key pretty huge. It's basically a stat check, like, can you clear through my screen or my move block in under 2 turns? If not, you probably just lost. I do think, like, it's definitely, like, you guys are gonna need to practice this army. This is, like, definitely one that you want to, like, get familiar with and all that. I think people will be surprised how fast those models can die. It won't always happen, but how fast they can die. But regardless, like, in certain games, if you're able to, like, move block your opponent, especially if, like, you go first and all that sort of stuff, you might just automatically win. Beyond that, though, I think the strongest aspect of this detachment rule is the fact that you can attach characters, man. You can get characters set up 9 inches away, if that's the route you go, 9 inches away from your opponent. Maybe you get lucky and you go first. Bada bing, bada boom, man. My Lord's going in there. He's got Soul Link, so I'm going to steal, like, reroll hits, so I'm going to steal, like, half damage, you know, whatever you need there. I think that's low-key, like, the biggest part of this detachment. Beyond that, what's cool, you can go Horde mode, which might be, like, meta-defining, or, like, the meta might be changing soon, because orcs are out there, now we got Chaos Cults, check out the review, that sort of stuff. So, dude, yeah, a lot of people, and that's, like, the most common way people have been talking, you can bring what? If you attach Dark Communes, you could bring, what, 75? Yeah, 75 Cultists, toss on another 30 freaking Legionaries on top of that, and that gets wild, 105 models right in your opponent's face from the get-go. Now, that said, you don't have to run Horde mode, and honestly, like, I don't think that's necessarily the best route to go. I mean, time will tell, but I do think, like, either a mixture, so you bring, like, I am thinking a 20-man Cultist Blob, probably a good route to go, and then the other 2 MSU, but you could go fully MSU. That way, you're barely spending any points. Cultists are freaking 50 points, Legionaries are 80 points. That's only, like, that's, like, less than 400 points to completely move block or completely screen out your opponent. Like, that definitely has power behind it. What's awesome with the Cultists specifically, I don't have any out here, but a Cultist specifically, if you run the big blob of them, especially with the Dark Commune, so it's freaking 25 models, dude, the amount of, like, board coverage you can get is insane. If you're lucky, well, okay, if you're saying your opponent even has infiltrators, if you get lucky and you deploy first, dude, you could completely block out your opponent's, like, own infiltrators. The amount of coverage you get with 25 models is insane. Speaking of Cultists, they have freaking sticky objectives, man. You could start the game, you could have a single squad, and you could sticky all 3 objectives right when the game starts, assuming you go first. Dude, it gets, like, insane when you look at it, in that aspect. And then what you'd probably do in that case, you just have a bunch of heavy hitters on, you know, that you deploy in your deployment zone, rush them forward to support, and bada bing, bada boom, man. Like, again, it's gonna be like a stat check for your opponent. If your opponent can't clear out all those models before you get, like, your reinforcements up there to, like, doubly clog them up and all that, yeah, dude, it's gonna get wild. Especially those sticky is, like, the biggest part. Because, yeah, you can start the Cultists on the objective, and then just leave it. It doesn't matter. You don't have to stand around. So obviously there's a lot of power behind that. Again, certain armies are just gonna lose. I think too it's gonna help counter some of the stronger armies, but like the sneakier ones. So like Hypercrypt Necrons, Grey Knights, Demons. I'm gonna hate it if yeah, if you're screening out my midfield. Also too, Legionaries are some of the best battle line in the entire game, dude. Yeah, Legionaries are nuts. And what's cool, when you have a character attached to them, they give them the reroll wounds. So you're gonna have super ultra beady like Master Executions or Footlord, all that sort of stuff. Lots of power behind it. Definitely something I'm like excited to get on the table and try out a bit more. Now that said, so while I'm hyping it up and everything, there's definitely some downsides to go over. There's actually, if you think about it, there's actually quite a few downsides. So for one, and the biggest one, it only works once. It only works like before the game even starts. So once the game starts, you're not getting constant like game long buffs like Renegade Raiders or like Fellhammer Siege Hoster, that sort of stuff. So you know, you're definitely gonna have to depend on like your enhancements and stratagems to get the most out of this detachment. Another thing that's really going to hurt, and you guys really need to think through and like practice working around, if your opponent has infiltrators as well, especially if they deploy theirs first. That's going to hurt a lot, man. If your opponent deploys their own infiltrators in the center of the board or somewhere like sexy or whatever, yeah, dude, it's going to screen out a bunch of your guys. Now, that said, you should still be able to fit people in, unless you have a mirror match and they have the 25-man blob as well. You should still be able to get like some mileage out of it, but still, yeah, that's going to be like one of the bigger game breakers. That's going to like negate like half of your army ability in a way. This isn't the biggest downside, but it is going to clash with stuff like Nurglings and whatnot. Granted, that said, with Nurglings specifically, you still like deep strike them, so it's not like terrible, but do be aware that, yeah, other infiltrators obviously aren't going to get as much mileage as you'd normally get out of them. And then lastly, like, some armies are just going to love it. World Eaters, man, again, this is an army you guys need to practice with. World Eaters and, like, Tyranids and Orcs especially, those sort of armies, they're going to love having like, lunch freaking 9 inches away from them. They're going to gain so much movement from that stuff if they go first. If you go first, it's a different story. So a lot of times, you'll be, like, rolling the dice, like literally rolling the dice and gambling on if you go first or not. Because Orcs, dude, I've won so many games versus Orcs because I'm able to move block them. That's, like, a key strategy. But again, you only have like 50-50 chance of like even being able to do that, and if you lose the roll off, boom, you just gave them a huge advantage. Still, even with all that out of the way, I still think it's incredibly powerful. It's and it's unique, man. No other army has that ability. Yeah, none of them have it that I can think of, and I doubt that any in the future will. Granted, who knows? GW likes to recycle stuff every now and then. I think the key is going to be, like, yeah, using your characters correctly. Man, can you imagine how beady, like, how, like, nuts it's going to be? With Souling, too, which we'll get into in a moment, man, you're going to be able to, like, pick and choose whichever, like, specific buff you need. Oh, I need to, like, increase my charge distance, I'll steal the MOP. Oh, you know, they're below half strength, or, yeah, below half strength. I want to reroll all my hits and my wounds, I'll just steal this. How about, I'll give my Master Execution, who has precision, I'll give him +1 AP, damage, strength, attacks, like, oh, it gets so nutso there. So even though there are some major downsides, don't get down on these guys. They are still going to be competitive for sure. Like, even if you don't play these guys, you need to like practice and figure out how you're going to counter them when they do come up, because I do think they'll be like fairly popular, at least while people are still figuring out the codex and what's like the most competitive. With all that said though, so now we get into my favorite part of this legion, their enhancements. So, legit, these guys have some of, like, the best enhancements I've seen. Not like, from a power aspect, but, well, not necessarily from a power aspect, but just from, like, a fun fucking aspect. Like, literally, some of the favorite ones I've ever seen. Soul Link, we'll get into in a minute. Like, once you start thinking that one through and, like, considering all the possibilities, it gets freaking insane, all the options you got. We got, what? We got, like, over 10 characters. I think we have 12 generic characters, something like that. So you got 10 to 12 different freaking options to choose from whenever you need it. You got on-demand freaking extra damage, on demand reroll hits, on demand like extra charges, whatever you need there. I think it's like crazy strong. Now, like I kind of alluded to earlier, I do think, so your detachment ability only works once, so you are going to be, like, leaning heavily into your enhancements and your stratagems, of course. You'll be leaning into that stuff, like, quite heavily to get the most out of this army, but there are some, like, really fun combos once you start digging into them, some exceptionally fun and exceptionally powerful, especially, I love the hero hammer, like, side to it, too. You make, like, ultra beady beat sticks. Yeah, I love that part of it. Now, I will say, so all of these only work on infantry. That said, they're pretty cheap. Like, pretty much, I don't think any of them are over 15 points. So, like, that's pretty awesome if you need to just fill in the last few points in your list. That's definitely, like, a good aspect to these. Regardless, though, so first up, we got the long one. So this one has a lot. So, Falsehood. Chaos Lord model only, so only the Footlord, excludes Terminator and Jump Pack models. In the Declare Battle Formation step, you can set the bearer up in reserves instead of on the battlefield. If you do, in the Reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, you can select one friendly Legionary or Chosen unit that is on the battlefield and does not have an attached character, unfortunately. The selected model is destroyed. You then set the bearer up as close as possible to where that model was destroyed and only within engagement range of enemy units if you had already been in engagement range. So, yeah, this one sucks. Like, yeah, I'll just be straight up with you. This one sucks. You're paying points just to, like, deep strike a character? Like, no, man, I would just bring a Demon Prince or a Jump Lord or something like that. I guess you could, so there is, like, you can't get screened out 9 inches, so there is an advantage there. Also, Goonhammer had a really good point in that you could, like, increase your charge, or decrease your charge distance, gain a little bit of movement, because these guys are all going to be on 40mm bases, Legionaries are only on 32mm bases, so you would gain, like, an inch to your charge, I suppose. But it's so bad. You're paying not only for the enhancement, which is only 10 points. It would have been better at 5 points, even 0 points. Not only are you paying that, you're also paying for the model you killed. So yeah, man, you're basically handicapping yourself by using that enhancement. I'm really not sold on that. That said, for fluffy games, that'll be pretty awesome. And maybe there's some like, really good generals out there that can figure out some sneaky stuff. You know, get your like measly looking Legionaries, or better yet, like 3 Legionary squad. They don't know where the Chaos Lord's coming in. I could see some like fun combos that way, but again, I do not see it as competitive, like not even the least bit. The next 3, though, these are all, like, all of them are great. Yeah, all of them are great, some of them are fantastic. So first of all, we got Cursed Fang. This one's only 10 points, so it's a steal. Heretic Astartes infantry model only. Improve the armor pin characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons by 1, and they gain the precision ability on their melee weapons. Yeah, dude, I freaking love that one. You throw it on a Master of Execution, so he already has precision, but the +1 AP alone is huge. He'll go up to AP 3. Maybe you got a Lord, you bust his once per game ability, you can get him up to AP 4. Gets pretty nuts. Maybe you combo it off with a Terminator Sorcerer, you can get to AP 5. Yeah, Cursed Fang I freaking love. Obviously, precision's very powerful as well, and very much fits the fluff. Alpha Legion loves to cut off the head, as they say, so yeah, Cursed Fang, definitely one I'll be trying to toss into most of my lists. And again, man, these are great, like, gap fillers. You got 10 points left over, hell yeah, dude, I'm bringing Cursed Fang, like, every single time. I think, too, it could work on Terminator Sorcerer, because he can buff his own AP. Additionally, on top of that, you got a million options with the Cursed Fang. I really like that one. Next up, though, so we got Shroud of Obfuscation. This one's 15 points. Heretic Astartes infantry model only. The bearer has both stealth and lone operative. This might be my favorite one. Well, okay, next to Soul Link, which we'll get to in a second. This might be my favorite one. This one's giant, man, and you got a million options again. A Jump Lord's gonna love it. Who I think will especially love it, Terminator Sorcerer. I think they'll get a lot of mileage out of that because they have their Death Hex ability, and often I definitely do it all the time. Well, you'll run them solo, so they don't have like bodyguards to take the hits for him. Well, now like Death Hex is 12-inch range, so you would be in range of the unit that you're targeting at least, but you still have stealth there, so he won't get shot that easily. He can blink damage, don't forget that. He has his little familiar, his little Chaos Familiar will let him blink damage once per battle. Yeah, Shroud of Obfuscation, that's a fun word to say. Definitely a powerful one. Now, it is 15 points, so a little spindy, but again, man, it plays into the Hero Hammer. You just have a Lord on his lonesome, just jumping around, doing secondaries, all that sort of stuff. Better yet, you could have a Lord or like a Sorcerer, so you go like really cheap. Just have him sit on your home objective, so like, yeah, you don't have to devote a squad to stand back there. Lots of options with the Shroud. Don't forget, too, that it can combo with some of the stratagems we'll get to. So they got the 12-inch anti-deep strike scrambled coordinates stratagem. That'll combo perfectly with it. Basically makes, for deep strike at least, makes one of your models like invulnerable to it for one turn. Yes, again, I think there's a lot of power behind it. 15 points, slightly spinny, but it's worth it. Alright, next up, so on to my very favorite one, so Soul Link. Heretic Astartes model only, infantry model only. At the start of your command phase, you can select one other Heretic Astartes infantry character from your army, excluding epic heroes. Until the start of your next command phase, the bearer gains the Psyker keyword, that part kind of sucks, and replace the bearer's datasheet abilities with the datasheet abilities of the character you selected. So, first up, and perhaps the most powerful part of it, maybe, the fact, dude, it's only 5 freaking points. Literally every single list you write needs to have Soul Link in it, like, why wouldn't it? It could practically do, like, nothing and still be worth it, so, definitely, like, you're gonna be seeing it all the time. Beyond that, I truly think this is, like, an army-defining enhancement. And it's probably one of the best enhancements in the game in that regard. The fact that it changes the army so much, just from a single 5-point relic, like, that's pretty awesome. Like, good work, GW, I'll clap for you. Now, sure, it doesn't like directly bring you power on its own, but it gives you a million opportunities. You basically get like a buffet of buffs to choose from. So I have a whole section devoted to it after the unit reviews. So if that's something you want to see, I'm going to go into it into detail. But you know, you can grab damage from the Lord. You can grab if they're on their lonesome all of a sudden. You can grab half damage from the Chaos Lord. You can grab +1 AP from the Terminator Sorcerer. You can grab freaking reroll hits and wounds from the MOE. The options are endless. You could super buff up your Dark Commune, well, the Demigod in it. You could, like, super buff that guy up. You can go meme with, like, a Cultist Firebrand. Like, that's a fun option. It's like, again, nothing but options, man. You got a million options. Whatever you need at the moment. Like, yeah, maybe it's perfect time for those reroll hits or whatever. Yeah, you'll be able to do it for only 5 points. Another cool perk to it, it lets you use the once per game abilities multiple times. So maybe you have 2 lords, only one of them's like in the thick of things. He uses it, you know, first turn, second turn, whenever. And then the next turn, you just steal it from the other Chaos Lord and get to do it again. I believe that would be legal. Yeah, dude, it's pretty awesome there. Now, sadly, it doesn't work on epic heroes, but that's sort of fair. You know, no giving, like, your measly sorcerer Abaddon's reroll buffs or whatever, though I wish that was the case. But regardless, it's still fun. Now, do beware, it replaces your abilities, so you don't get to have both. So you can't have the +1 damage and the reroll hits from the MOE. You only get one or the other, so that is sort of a downside there. But again, it's fair, especially at only 5 points. But at that price, man, I think it's an auto-include. I think literally every single list, like, needs to have it. Why wouldn't you? Overall, though, so for all the enhancements, yeah, dude, they're awesome. 3 out of 4 are fantastic. Some of them are incredibly powerful. Cursed Fang is very strong. +1 AP, we're always looking for that. CSM have pretty middling, like, armor pen, like, overall, so that alone is great. Obviously, Shroud is very powerful. A Jump Lord, or even just a dude sitting in the back, that has strength. And then Soul Link. Again, I have a section devoted to it if that's something you guys want to get more info on. But Soul Link just gives you, like, over a dozen options, man. I freaking love it all. GW knocked it out of the park with the enhancements here. Somewhere else they did really good was the Strategems. So, again, you're going to have some really strong, really flavorful options to pick from. First up, we got one of my favorites, man. I freaking love this one. So, Detonator. In any phase, just after an enemy model with the Deadly Demise ability is destroyed, excluding Titanic, unfortunately, you select one Heretic Astartes character within 18 inches. Doesn't have to be visible or nothing. Your opponent does not roll to determine whether mortal wounds are inflicted by their Deadly Demise ability. Instead, they are automatically inflicted. Dude, that is giant. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on Titanic, so maybe the Corn Lord of Skull wouldn't work and the Brass Scorpion. But freaking, like, I believe Vindicators have D6. There's a bunch of stuff that do D6 mortal wounds out there. Dude, you could win the game off that. Just a single, like, vehicle exploding very much might just win you the game. Another, like, perk to it is, like, if your opponent knows about it, which, of course, you would tell them about it before the game, but your opponent, especially if they're going vehicle heavy, maybe you're fighting, like, Soul Forged Warpack or something like that, dude, they're gonna have to play differently. Abaddon Castles, they're gonna freaking hate it. This is, like, almost a counter to Abaddon Castles. I think this is actually incredibly strong when it comes up. Obviously, it's, like, army-dependent or opponent-dependent. It won't always come up, but when it does, dude, very much, you're gonna be focusing down that vehicle, hopefully destroying it, hopefully doing a shitload of mortal wounds. Alright, next up, we got a seemingly basic one, but actually pretty good. So, Coils of Deception. In your movement phase, just after a Heretic Astartes unit from your army falls back, until the end of the turn, that unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back. So these are always, like, sneaky good. They're very utilitarian, mostly for secondaries, mainly for secondaries. Now, you do have the bonus of, yeah, you get to shoot somebody again. So if you have, like, Havocs or something along those lines, like, yeah, they can't get tied up, so there's definitely power there. But I always, when I see these, I always think the main strength comes from doing the actions, doing the secondaries. With the new mission pack that's coming out really soon, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more actions than, like, we're used to seeing. So very much, this might be one of, like, the key stratagems that's, like, you won't always use it, but when it does come up, it could be, like, game-winning. Alright, next up, we got From All Sides. So, first of all, this is a battle tactic, so that's pretty awesome there. At the start of your charge phase, one Heretic Astartes unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the charge roll made for the unit for each other Heretic Astartes unit from your army that made a charge move this phase. So, you guys gotta think, man, you're starting with literally 6 units in your opponent's face if you want to. So, getting the +3 is not gonna be hard at all. Even if it's turn 2 or something, like, yeah, it should be pretty easy. Your Warp Talons are gonna freaking love this. It's not restricted to just infantry or whatever. So defilers are gonna freaking love it. Demon princes are gonna freaking love it. Everybody, the entire freaking army is gonna love it. Especially warp talons, so they'll get a lot of mileage out of that. Now remember, it's a battle tactic, so like a jump lord attached to like raptors, he's gonna like love that a lot because you get to use it twice for free. Well, the second time would be free. Chaos lord, he can do it if you got like chosen or something like that. Possessed can do it. Oh man, yeah, that one is incredibly powerful. The fact it's a battle tactic, that's like a huge deal right there. Do not forget it. Even if you don't have like even if you don't infiltrate a bunch of guys and maybe have a big like alpha strike or a beta strike, so second turn or whatever. Yeah, dude, again, you can get a lot of mileage out of the from all sides. I think that's one you're going to be using like almost every turn that it comes up. Even if it's just for like +2, even just +1 if it's really vital. Yeah, you can get a lot of power there. Next up, so this also might be one of my favorites. Having a lot of favorites here. So, Relentless Pursuit. In your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move, one Heretic Astartes infantry or mounted unit from your army that's within 9 inches of that unit and not within engagement range, you can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. So this is huge in any and every army that you see it in. Reactive moves are like incredibly powerful. This does become one of the best stratagems. You guys gotta think, man, you're infiltrating a bunch of guys in your opponent's face. Maybe you do go second. Maybe they do win the roll-off and get to go first. Well, cool, man. I'm just gonna walk away 6 inches. Like, I'm not as worried about your charge. Maybe you need to, like, get behind line of sight so they can't shoot you. Maybe you can get on objective and steal it from them. There's a million different ways that those come in, like, handy. Yeah, dude, Relentless Pursuit, this is one of the better ones. And it also is gonna play into one of the combos I'll show you a little later. Double reactive move, like, wink, wink. Yeah, dude, I love these in any and every army they show up. They're going to be exceptionally good here when you consider all the infiltrators you got. Alright, next up we got Pick Them Off. So this also is a battle tactic. In your shooting phase, one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that hasn't been selected to shoot yet. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a unit below its starting strength, you can reroll the hit roll. If they're below half strength, you can reroll the wound roll as well. Now, they do have to be below starting strength, so that does kind of suck, but everything else makes up for it. First of all, it's a battle tactic, man. So you can have 2 different units using the rerolls once you, like, plink a single wound off a vehicle. It's really strong into vehicles, because, yeah, you only have to plink a single wound. And even in infantry, typically, you should be able to kill a single freaking model. So that alone is pretty strong. The other part, it's going to buff up your shooting, obviously, which is a big deal, man. Like I said in the beginning, you'll be surprised how fast, like, it's definitely your cultists and even your legionaries, how fast they're going to get picked up in certain matchups. Well, you can have your Forgefiend sitting across the table picking out the big threats. You can have your Vindicator freaking annihilating blobs of infantry or even vehicles. Lots and lots of ways to use that. It sucks that's only shooting phase, and it does stink that, you know, you got the restriction of below starting strength or whatever, but it is still really powerful. And again, it's a battle tactic. That, like, makes up for the downsides. I love that one. Especially if you ever get them, if you need to, like, finish off a unit. Or maybe it's like a Imperial Knight or something, so it's huge, but it still has a decent amount of wounds, even at half strength. Well, boom, I get the reroll hits and the reroll wounds with my Dark Pacts, and God knows what other buffs I toss on there. Very much like that one. And then last up, we got the low-key, probably the best one, Scrambled Coordinates. At the start of the reinforcement step of your opponent's movement phase, one Heretic Astartes unit from your army, until the end of the phase, enemy units that are set up on the battlefield from reserves cannot be set up within 12 inches of this unit. So, obviously, this is ultra powerful. You got the basic and super common and super simple one. You got a blob of 25 cultists in the center. Yeah, I'm just gonna screen out the entire freaking no man's land so you can't go, like, anywhere near that. That's got power there. You could have a measly cultist squad or even a lone character sitting in your home field objective. They become invulnerable to deep strikers. A 10-man cultist squad, so minimum size cultist squad sitting in your home field. They should be able to screen out probably your entire freaking deployment zone. I believe you would be able to do that if you spread them out really wide. Lots and lots and lots of potential there. Again, it's going to counter certain armies. Hypercrypt Necrons, going to hate it. Demons, definitely going to hate it. Grey Knights, very much going to hate it. Lots of power there. Even normal armies, CSM, even like Renegade Raiders, maybe they got Terminators or something coming in. Nope, I'm not worried about that. Oh, your Terminator Sorcerer was going to do -1, was going to Death Hex me? Not anymore. Again, lots of power there. That is like sneakily probably the most powerful stratagem that we got. So all in all of those stratagems are good. Was there even a bad one? I'm not even sure if there's like one that I wouldn't want to use from time to time. Now, like every CSM Legion that I've gone over, they're going to be very CP starved. So be figuring out ways to either conserve or like generate CP. Luckily, Master Execution, I think they're going to be pretty common in this army. You'll see in the list I load a little later. I think they will be like really common actually. So every now and then you'll get some CP. Don't forget you can discard secondaries if you need to. But probably my favorite part is, yeah, dude, a bunch of these are like gotchas, in the sense, which fits the Alpha Legion / Deceptor. It fits their freaking, like, fluff, like, so perfectly. Again, GW knocked it out of the park with these stratagems. Alright, next up, though, so we can go on to the units themselves. Definitely got a lot of options to pick from here. First of all, if you guys didn't already realize, this is going to be a super character-heavy army. Not only because of Soul Link, though that is a big part of it, but also Cursed Fang and the Shroud. The fact that you can, like, divvy out buffs, whoever needs it most, when they need it most, that makes for a really fun and powerful playstyle. And also, though, it makes you want to bring a variety of characters. So first up, this guy's going to pop. We got Mr. Huron. You would think he'd pop with Renegade Raiders. No, I think Deceptors is where he's most powerful. So first of all, his abilities. He can give whatever squad he's attached to, he gets some +1 objective control. Now, he is an epic character, so you can't infiltrate him, unfortunately. But even then, man, if you rush up a squad of Legionaries or Chosen or whatever up the board, having 30 objective control on the center objective, like, have fun getting through that. Beyond that, though, his best abilities, you got Red Corsairs. After both players have deployed their armies, you can select up to 3 Heretic Astartes infantry units from your army and redeploy them. When doing so, you can put them into strategic reserves, regardless of how many units were already in reserves. So, unfortunately, you don't know who goes first when you use this, but still, man, you can, like, mess with your opponent. So you can, like, infiltrate right up in their face, their world eaters or something. You're making them think there's a juicy target. Oh, you forgot about Huron's ability. I'm just going to move them back, back a little further. His third ability, though, is, like, almost just as powerful, especially when you combo it with the reactive move. So, Hamadira's Knowledge. Once per battle, when an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move within 9 inches of this model's unit, if this model's unit is not within engagement range, you can make a normal move of up to d6 inches. So, it is d6, unfortunately. There's always the odds you roll a 1 or whatever, but you combo that with the stratagem, boom, dude, you're moving d6 plus 6 inches. You're, like, practically unchargeable at that point. I love it a lot. And one of the best parts of this ability, or this guy, he's only 80 freaking points, dude. 80 points for 5 wounds with a 4-up invul. Like, lots of love there. He's no slouch in melee. He's got 6, strength 5, minus 2 AP, 2 damage attack, so that's nice there. And then he even has a flamer. It's not the best. Well, actually, it is a pretty good flamer when you think of those. D6 shots, strength 6, minus 1 AP, 1 damage each. Definitely like Huron. I think you'll be seeing him a lot, and he's, yeah, I've been putting him in a lot of my lists, and with my test games, I've been running Huron pretty much every single time. Alright, next up, though, so we're getting into the generic characters. Definitely got a lot to choose from here. Pretty much every character is, like, valid in this detachment, which, again, I love it. Like, GW, thank you for giving us that. Yeah, if you're into Hero Hammer, you're at the right place. That said, I'm not going to go over every single character. I'm going to go kind of quick through a lot of them, because I do have a section right after all these units devoted to the Soul Link, so if you're looking for the combos related there or whatever, yeah, wait for that section. But yeah, just because I don't bring up, like, a specific character or whatever doesn't mean that they aren't worth running. That said, though, so probably the best character for this detachment, and one you're going to see, like, every single time, is going to be the Foot Lord. First of all, you got Lord of Chaos, so the once per battle round, you can use a battle tactic for free, even if somebody else used it. Alpha Legion has really good battle tactics to choose from, so you'll be using that all the freaking time. And again, you're always CP starved. This guy directly helps fix that, so Chaos Lord, ultra valid there. He got a little points drop. He's only 90 points, I believe now. He dropped 5 points, so, like, that's pretty awesome. But best of all, and my favorite part, is his Chance for Glory. So once per battle, at the start of the fight phase, you can use this ability. If you do, until the end of the phase, improve the strength, attacks, armor pin, and damage by melee weapons by 1. That is gigantic. Not only for himself, because, dude, you got, like, Demon Hammer, you're going up to 6 attacks, strength 9, minus 3 AP, 3 damage each with dev wounds. Like, he's going to be, like, ripping up Terminators and characters and all that stuff, like, on its own. But, remember, Soul Link, you can hand this off to anybody, man. Give it to your MOE if he really needs it. Give it to your Master Possession, whoever. And don't ever forget, you can combo it with, like, the Terminator Sorcerer, get an additional AP on top. Very much love the Chaos Lord. I definitely think you'll see him a lot. On that same note, Chaos Lord in Terminator armor, he's valid too, especially if you're bringing Terminators. Hell yeah, this guy's gonna work. You could also, a fun idea with this guy is to give him the Shroud and run him solo. That way you got the -1 to hit, lone op, and then formidably resilient. Each time an attack is located to this model, have the damage characteristic, both melee and range. He becomes like ultra hard to kill, man, with his 2-up save, 4-up invul, and 6 wounds. Very much think this guy's like a valid choice. And then last up, you got the Jump Lord. Again, his strongest ability is going to be that Lord of Chaos ability, the free battle tactic. That's huge, man. We're using battle tactics all the freaking time. On top of that, you got Cruel Hunter. So while he's leading a unit, each time they pile in or consolidate, you move up to 6 inches instead of 3. That's low-key huge. That lets you get onto objectives, especially. You can tie up units so they can't be shooting you. Very much like the power that this guy's bringing, specifically your Raptors, but you could also run him with the Shroud solo. And again, with the Soul Link, don't forget you can hand those off. You know, I don't think it's that strong, like strong enough to where you'd want to really steal that often, but you could. Don't forget either, and this applies to every single Lord, you can steal their Chaos Lord ability. So if you got a key unit that wants to use a free battle tactic for whatever reason, dude, you'll be able to do it. Oh, I love the Soul Link so much. It opens up so many freaking options. Speaking of good options, though, next up we got Master of Execution. So where this guy really pops is the fact that, yeah, the Soul Link, you can steal his abilities, man. He also is going to be buffing up your Legionaries just on his own. So he has Warp-Sided Butcher. While this model is leading the unit, each time a model on that unit makes a melee attack that targets a unit below its starting strength, you can reroll the hit roll. If they're below half strength, you can reroll the wound roll as well. Not only are you buffing up the unit he's with, but if you got a Soul Link character and they really want to finish somebody off, bada bing bada boom, man. I'm just gonna borrow that for a turn. On top of that, he's got Trophy Taker. So each time this model destroys an enemy character, you gain 1 CP. With how killy like CSM are, like period, killing characters not gonna be that uncommon. Obviously, it's not every single turn, but when it comes up, that's ultra valuable. It's just automatic. You don't have to roll a 4-up or nothing. You automatically get a command point. Very much like that there. On top of all that, this guy's pretty damn killing. Axe of Dismemberment, so it's got devastating wounds and precision. You got 5 attacks, strength 7, minus 2 AP and 2 damage each. Again, with the precision, that's pretty nice. You can steal the Chaos Lord's +1 freaking attacks, strength, AP, and damage. He'll still have the dev wounds and precision. Now, again, you replace the ability so he wouldn't have Warp-Sided Butcher anymore, but if you gotta really kill something, man, 6 3-damage attacks with precision and dev wounds, hell yes, that's gonna be mulching stuff. He's especially good at assassinating, like, small, weak characters. So anything with, like, 4 wounds, anything along those lines, yeah, dude, he's gonna butcher him. Next up, though, we got my favorite model. So as I've done all these reviews, I've come to learn that, yeah, it's Terminator Sorcerer. He's probably the best character, like, overall. The best, like, generic character overall for CSM. I think he belongs in, like, the vast majority of lists. Reason being, he has Death Hex. So at the start of your shooting phase, 1 unit with this ability can use it. If it does, select an enemy unit within 12 inches invisible and roll a dice. On a 1, your day just got ruined. You're just gonna do mortal wounds to yourself. But on a 2-up, until the start of your next movement phase, each time an attack targets that enemy unit, improve the armor pin by 1. So dude, that's so powerful in multiple ways. It lasts until your next movement phase, so you get basically 2 turns of use out of it. You get your shooting phase, your fight phase, and then your opponent's fight phase. That is giant. I'm going to be bringing it up a lot, but Soul Link, you can steal this and put on a different character that maybe they're in a better position to use it. Now, do be aware, you couldn't do it twice, even if you stole it with the Soul Link, because it does say 1 unit with this ability can use it, so you can't do it that way. But regardless, dude, having a super ultra buffed up, like Master Executions or anything along those lines, very much like that. Don't forget, he's a Terminator, so you got the 2-up save, 4-up invul, and deep striking. That's a big part of it. You can practically, in a sense, like target whoever you want, assuming they aren't like screened really well. Beyond that, he has like meaningful damage output, especially like his shooting. So if you do like the focused version, you're gonna have dev wounds, d6 shots, 24-inch range, freaking strength 6, minus 2, potentially minus 3 AP, d3 damage each. So you're getting multi-damage shots at 24-inch range, and even in melee, he's no slouch. 4 attacks, strength 6, minus 1 AP, d3 damage. Again, you can steal the Lord buff if it's important. Oh, I freaking love the Sorcerer Terminator. If you guys haven't already been running this guy, 100% go out and buy one, or like convert one from your collection, or just proxy one. Very much, you guys need to be trying this dude. What I love too, he works fine solo or with a bodyguard. He's a freaking Terminator. Oh, I forgot to mention too, Chaos Familiar. Once per battle, when an attack is located to the bearer, you can change the damage characteristic to 0. So that is also huge, again, on a Terminator profile. Very much, I think this guy is practically an auto-include for almost every single army. Next up, another gonna be like ultra common sight for Deceptors especially, you got Dark Commune. What's cool, these guys will make your cultists, they might do actual damage in combat, so that's kind of cool there. So he's got Dark Ritual, one of the best abilities of any character. So once per battle in your command phase, if this unit contains the cult Demigod, which by the way, he's the only character, it can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the turn, this unit can declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced, and each time a model on this unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hits roll and 1 to the wound roll. Now, I do need to clarify something, because originally when I was looking at Soul Link, I'm like, oh my god, I can steal it, I can use Dark Ritual on a Chaos Lord? No, because it says, if this unit contains a cult Demigod, so you can't do it that way, so be aware that that might be an easy mistake to make. But regardless, dude, Dark Commune is they're money, dude. Especially if you're bringing the blob of cultists. Like, I almost think it's an on-include. Like, you gotta think it through. It's only 65 points. It's pretty cheap. The amount of wounds you're tossing on there and extra damage is pretty good. On top of that, he has Faithful Flock. So while they're leading a unit, if it contains a cult demigod, I wish it didn't have that part, but regardless, models in that unit have a 5-up invuln save. Cultists normally only have a 6-up. Suddenly they're like somewhat resilient or whatever, especially if you're doing the big blob. Very much think Dark Commune's worth looking at. Especially if you're going the cultist blob route. You can bring 3 maxed out cultist squads and 3 dark communes, like that'll be a pain in the ass to chew through. Definitely a valid pick, definitely something to be looking at for your army. Ooh, next up, you guys knew I was bringing this guy up. So, Lord Discordant. So, I'll be honest, as always, it's usually a meme. Although, when I do the Renegade Raiders review, we'll get into it there. But regardless, Lord Discordant, he does have some use. He can use literally every single stratagem. So, you can do the fallback and shoot, you can do your reactive moves, all that sort of stuff. You can screen out the 12-inch deep strike bubble. He's got lots of value there. On top of that, he helps your damage output. So, your detachment rule doesn't help that at all. So with like Spirit Thief, at the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy vehicle within 12 inches. Until the end of the phase, friendly Heretic Astartes can reroll wound rolls of 1. So if you're fighting like Imperial Knights or something, definitely has value there. But all that aside, so this guy's sort of a meme, but you know, I love him too much. I just want to look at his model, so I'm pretty much always going to bring him. Alright, next up though, we got the Humble Cultist Mob. So the reason these guys are awesome should be obvious. I should mention too, if you're playing Deceptors, you are always bringing 3 squads of Cultists and 3 squads of Legionaries. If you aren't, like, why are you even playing this detachment? What's cool, you got multiple routes you can go. So you can go the Horde route, so you can bring them as a 20-man blob for only 100 points, man. They're a steal. Or you can go MSU. I think both options are valid, and truthfully, a mix of both will probably be best. I think most of my lists, I'm going to bring 1 squad of 20 of them. Now, unfortunately, this is an old index card, so they've lost, like, all their weapon options. All they really have are auto pistols and brutal assault weapons, so they're really not going to be doing, like, any damage at all. That said, with the Dark Commune, you will get +1 to hit, +1 to wound. You still got the Dark Packs and all that, so, like, there is value there. The most valuable part of these guys, aside from being cheap, is the For the Dark Gods ability. In your command phase, if this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, that objective marker will remain under your control, so basically sticky objectives. That is huge for a 50-point unit. That is gigantic. This is one of the best units in the book. I bring them literally every single list for like 99% of my list. And again, if you're playing Deceptors, like, you're bringing at least 3 of them. Why wouldn't you? Next up, we got probably the best battle line in the game. We got Legionaries. These guys are freaking little, like, malters in melee, man. They do so much damage in melee. I have had people ask, so yeah, I'll clarify that. Never run these guys as ranged. You bring all melee and then 1 heavy weapon. I normally bring the las cannon along with all the melee stuff, so definitely consider that. And then on top of that, they're hyper buffing your characters. Veterans of the Long War ability. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, you can reroll a wound roll of 1. If the enemy unit is within range of an objective marker, you reroll all the wound rolls instead. Now, what's cool is with Deceptors, hopefully they're not on the objective marker, so you won't have to worry about that as much. But regardless, man, you got the Dev Wound Hammer on your Chaos Lord. Suddenly he's rerolling wound rolls of 1. When it does come up, you're rerolling all the wound rolls. Definitely lots of power there. And again, these guys are beat 6 in melee. They kind of make Chosen look bad in a sense. They're only 80 points as well. 80 points for 2 objective control Marine profiles. They also got the Chaos icon on top of that, so they get to reroll their leadership for the Dark Packs ability. And pretty much nothing not to love about Legionaries. And again, Deceptors are always bringing at least 3. And for sure, dude, you can bring 3 maxed out squads. I think that'll be like, that might be the way to go, because, you know, it just adds extra resiliency and all that sort of stuff to them. Legionaries auto-include in pretty much every single list. Ultra auto-include in Deceptors especially. Ooh, alright, Terminators. So what's awesome about these guys is they make fantastic character caddies, or like body cards. Your Chaos Sorcerer especially is going to love having these dudes to eat up all the wounds for him. On top of that, and what I think is important with Terminators, they're freaking Terminators, so they're really resilient. So the 2-up save and the 4-up in-ball with 3 wounds, T5 on top of that, your army is going to love that stuff. Because again, man, Legionaries and Cultists, Cultists especially, Legionaries like pretty decently, are going to drop like flies, so you do need some resiliency in there. You can deep strike them, take advantage of the extra charge move with that stratagem. If you have characters attached, you can steal other characters' buffs with the Soul Link ability. So I used to pretty much always skip Terminators. And I'm still sort of on the fence with them because they're pretty expensive, man. You're paying like a premium for these dudes, but when you consider the fact that they have the reroll hits, the Despoilers ability, so every time you make a Dark Pact, every model in the unit gets the reroll hits, so even your freaking like sorcerers taking advantage of that, they are actually like really killy. You can bring 3 power fists and 1 chain fist for each 5 of them, so like they're getting a shitload of 2 damage attacks out there. Yeah, Terminators are still valid. I think Deceptors too will also be able to make use of them. Next up, we got one of my favorite units, and like, for eternity, freaking Possessed, dude. So what I think is really strong about these guys is using that From All Sides stratagem for the +3 to charge. If you have a Master of Possession attached, they would get +4 to their charge. Or, like, maybe you don't need that, you'd steal, if you put Soul Link on the MOP, you'd steal the, I don't know, Lord buff, whatever the hell you want, man. Now, they do have the downside of they only have 1 AP, so that is kind of tough. CSM as a whole had pretty middling armor piercing. That said, that's why you want to bring, like, a Terminator Sorcerer, man. He's going to buff them up. Once these guys go to AP2, for 125 points, they got a price break. 125 points, these guys are a steal. What I love, too, and why they really do, like, genuinely, I think they work with Deceptors, they're freaking fast, man, so they work as your second wave. I think they're exceptional at that. You got 9-inch move, T6, which is fantastic, 3 wounds each, obviously ultra fantastic. 3-up save with a 5-up invul. They too can have the icon, so you can get your exploding hits or your lethal hits if you're going in a vehicle. Very much love it. Unholy Bloodshed, unfortunately got nerfed to only once per game, but still, you can give them dev wounds. If you're running a huge blob of these, 40 attacks, exploding hits with dev wounds, dude, you'll be able to tear through certain units. I definitely think they're worth looking at. MSU, I think, is like very valid for Deceptors especially. Pretty much any army, but Deceptors, yes, they can use them. Next up, though, you got the all-stars of the CSM Codex. This is, like, I don't think there's any debate behind it. Warp Talons are the best unit in Chaos Space Marines. On top of that, they too can take advantage of the From All Sides. So you can give these guys +3 to their charges. That's giant. Now, it does go to 6-inch, so it's not at all, like if you're coming from Deep Strike, it goes to 6, so it's not at all guaranteed. That said, maybe you're smart and you rapid ingress them, bada bing, bada boom. Their abilities, so Warp Flames got changed. Now, if they were in melee at any point during the fight phase, but they're no longer in engagement range at the end of the fight phase, they can go back into strategic reserves. That's gigantic for doing secondaries. Again, you can use the From All Sides stratagem, like multiple times. Oh man, I freaking love them. Warp Claws are ultra powerful. They're going to be strength 5, -2 AP, 1 damage, rerolling all the wounds. These guys butcher like literally any and everything. I started experimenting running, I used to always run them MSU, but I've started running them as 10-man blobs now. Oh my god, are they powerful. And they almost always like guarantee their ability to go back into reserves. Again, man, these guys, they pop off. Definitely be using rapid ingress with these dudes, or at least consider it. Now, that does play into like eating up your command points, but these guys are like worth it. Definitely worth the price there. Next up, we got yet again another one of my favorite models in CSM. We got the Maulerfiend. So this guy got a price break. He's only 130 points, and at that he very much is like efficient and like worth it. He's sort of like the Possessed in that this guy works as your second wave. He also works as distraction card effects, because dude, your opponent's gonna have, 30 Legionaries, 75 Cultists in his face, and then he's like, oh shit, there's Maulerfiends coming up like right behind it, like, who do I shoot? Yeah, dude, Maulerfiend, very valid. Me personally, I always run him with Magma Cutters, because you can bring 2 Magma Cutters, so you get 4 Strength 9, -4 AP, D6 damage attacks at range, and then in melee, he's just butchering anything, any vehicles. It could be Imperial Knight, it could be a Land Raider, it doesn't matter, man, you're butchering them. 6 attacks, Strength 14, -2 AP, D6 +1 damage. This guy's like almost an anti-everything. Obviously, he's mainly into elites and vehicles. Even Chaff, though, he'll do decently well. Another reason why I love the Magma Cutters, you're getting 4 D6 damage attacks versus 6 single damage attacks. I always pass up on the Tendrils, unless I'm going for the Rule of Cool, because I do look sick. Beyond that, so Siege Crawler did get changed. Sadly, and it's lame, you can't reroll the advance and charges anymore, but you do ignore all the modifiers to both his move and his advance and charge, so there is a little bit of value there. Maulerfiend, definitely think he's worth like looking into. If you guys haven't been running these, like you normally skip them because they were overpriced before, at 130, I think they're a steal. All right, next up, if you've been watching my reviews, I'm pretty sure this guy's been in every single one, but Vindicator. This is our best shooting option. Don't forget, so we got the pick them off stratagem, so you can reroll all the hits at least, potentially all the wounds on top of that. This makes him, well, not only that, but even just baseline. This guy's anti-everything, dude. Demolisher cannon, so it's blast, which is awesome. 24-inch range, D6 plus 3 shots, strength 14, minus 3 AP, D6 damage. So again, he'll be obliterating vehicles, obliterating elites, obliterating chaff. The blast is huge, man. If you're shooting at orcs or something, definitely like that. Don't forget, he's got a havoc launcher and hopefully a combi bolter on top of that. So again, you're getting more blast, and then the rapid fire from the combi bolter. Oh, I freaking love the Vindicator. He's only 175 points, which is like a steal. He used to be, oh wait, he was like 200 or 205 or something like that, something ridiculous. Don't forget, he's T11 with a 2-up save, so he's ultra resilient, and then his Siege Shield ability does come in handy. Basically, he can still use Blast, even if he's in engagement range, so long as there's no other units in there. So yeah, dude, you can't tie him up. There's nothing not to love about the Vindicator. He belongs in every list. Now, a lot of people realize that, so he's really hard to buy, but if you got a 3D printer or something along those lines, very much, man, you guys need to be getting this guy on the table. Now, that said, as runner-up, we got freaking Chaos Predator Destructor. Some people might argue that this is better than the Vindicator. I think they're both, like, honestly, I think they're both tied. I think they're equal. Reason being, this guy's 130 points. He's cheap as chips, dude. You got the, obviously, vehicle profile, so T10, that's giant there. But on top of that, he's got Destructor ability. So when you target a infantry unit, you improve the AP by 1. So with your Predator autocannon, you're getting the 6 shots, hopefully, because he has rapid fire too. 6 shots, strength 9, minus 2 AP at that point, 3 damage each. So he's clearing up elites, so Terminators, possessed, anything along those lines, even regular battle lines, so like Legionary profiles, that sort of stuff. He's mulching through them. He's still got the Havoc Launcher and the Combi Bolters, and how I always run them, so I always do Predator Autocannon, and then I do the Las Cannons. That way he literally is anti-everything. Never, ever, ever forget, you got Dark Packs on top of it. This guy will pop off more often than you think. With the autocan, if you're shooting into vehicles, you might consider doing the lethal hits, and then obviously everything else you do exploding hits. For 130 points, I was expecting this guy to go up in points. No, dude, at 130, he's like an auto-include. Auto-include, like, times 3, potentially. And then the runner-up, you got Forgefiend. So this guy finally went down in points. Thank the dark gods, man. About time. It didn't go down. I wish he went down a little bit further, but 190, like, I can accept that. This guy's basically like the Vindicator. And honestly, he's sort of equal to the Vindicator. You like pick your poison. What I really love about this guy is he has 3 separate blast weapons. So you bring 3 of the ectoplasma cannons. That way, if you're shooting a big blob, maybe you got a mirror match. So you're shooting in the blob of freaking 25 cultists. If you're shooting 25 cultists, he would get 15 extra attacks. On top of that, you're going to roll an average of 6 attacks. You get 21, strength 10, AP 3, 3 damage attacks. You just pick up squads left and right. Very much, I think this guy is, like, worth bringing along for a lot of lists, especially with the new Orc Menace that's coming. Because this guy is, like, he's like a direct counter to them, at least if they're going, like, Hordy or Blobby. And even if they go the, like, Bully Boys routes, the minus 3 AP is pretty big there. Sure, they got the Invol or whatever, but still, man, it all adds up. I really love the Forgefiend. I'm very happy that he finally got a points break. It's like, about damn time, GW. What took you guys so long? So, as you can see, I do think bringing, like, Resilient Firepower is probably a good choice, but honestly, this army, man, you can go, like, any direction you want. You can go Horde mode, you can go for the Rush style list, you can go the, just clog them up with a few MSU squads, and everything else is heavy firepower. Lots and lots and lots of options to choose from. I'm very excited to, like, test out Deceptors and see which route works best for me. Alright, next up though, so I wanted to go over the Soul Link and all the options you got. So I picked out all the generic characters. So what do we got? We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You got 11 different characters to choose from. Now, I will say, when I first started like coming up with these, I thought that you could steal this guy's ability. So for sure, it's like, oh my god, you're using Dark Ritual every single time. But again, like I mentioned earlier, it has to have a Cult Demigod in the unit. So unfortunately, you couldn't do it unless somehow you're able to like smash a Lord with a Dark Commune, something like that. So don't get too excited. I'll try to put something on the screen that lists all the different abilities, but basically I just want to quickly run through like what you can take from each of these guys. So, Dark Apostle, he can give you +1 to wound. He can also let you get rid of a battle shock. So that might, like, low-key be actually a really big deal. So that's pretty cool there. Chaos Lord, I've gone over him a few times, and it should be obvious. You can steal his chance for glory. So +1 strength, AP, attacks, and damage. That's gigantic. Don't forget, he's got Lord of Chaos. So if you want to use a battle, or better yet, use a stratagem twice on a different unit, you have the ability to do that. You can give your possess like something crazy that somebody else already used. Definitely like that there. The Jump Lord, you can get the 6-inch Consolidate, the 6-inch Pile In, that's huge. Also has the Lord of Chaos ability. The Terminator Lord, he might, when like a unit, when like maybe the Lord squad got wiped out, so he's just on his lonesome now. Chaos Lord Terminator armor, you can give him formidably resilient, so have the damage coming in. He too has Lord of Chaos. Master Execution, this might be the most popular pick, I think, because it's just so powerful, man. Warp-Sided Butcher, so you can reroll all the hits, and if they're below half strength, reroll all the wounds. And don't forget Trophy Taker, man. If you know that that's going to come up, or you think that's going to come up, you can steal Trophy Taker and gain a CP after you kill a character. The meme choice, yeah, not Dark Commune, but you can do the Firebrand Cultist. He can do whoever you hit in the shooting phase, they have to take a battle shock. That might come up and be a big deal. And I believe he lets you reroll leadership, but it might be tied to Cultists only. I'll have to look at the card. Warpsmith. Alright, Warpsmith's fun, and we'll get into some combos after I go over what everybody gives, but he can be attached to Havocs. Don't forget that. So any of the other stuff we're going over, you can steal and give to Havocs. That said, he can give out some really good abilities, man. So he's got 3 of them, in fact. Warpsmith. So while a model's within 3 inches of a vehicle, you give it Lone Op, man. You can give your freaking Footlord Lone Op. You can give whoever Lone Op. You can give your Terminator Sorcerer Lone Op if they're next to a vehicle. That is a huge ability. On top of that, he's got Master of Mechanisms, so he can heal a vehicle, D3 wounds. Also give them +1 to their hits. Again, man, you can hand that off with some other character, like that's giant. And then finally, he's got Enraged Machine Spirits. You can force a battle shock on an enemy vehicle within 12 inches. Again, there will be times when that low-key could, honestly, it could win you a game, man. A failed battle shock is a big deal. Granted, you know, don't gamble on that too much. So he's huge. Terminator Sorcerer, this is probably the biggest one. Not only does he have the Death Hex, so you can add 1 to the AP for all of your guys until your next movement phase. Like, that's gigantic. One of the best buffs in the game, honestly. He's also got Warp Time. That's low-key huge on certain squads. Basically, you reroll advance and charges, so Master of Possession's gonna love that. If you're doing a giant possessed bomb or whatever, very much is he gonna want to steal that from him. Yeah, dude, Terminator Sorcerer, he's like an auto-include in my book. Next up, you got Regular Sorcerer. So he could give -1 to being hit, both melee and shooting. So maybe you got like a key unit, yeah, you got a blob of Terminators, you got a blob of Chosen, any of that sort of stuff, you can make them extra resilient. Unfortunately, Gift of Chaos doesn't work if you hand it off to somebody, because you have to do a psychic attack. I guess like Master Possession could use that, but you wouldn't want to because he has a better ability. But regardless, you know, it's there. And then lastly, Master Possession, he's got sneaky stuff. So unfortunately, he doesn't give the Feel No Pain anymore. You know, pour one out, F in chat for that, dude, because that was like ultra valuable. But you can still add 1 to advance and charges. Where that's big is your stratagem, man. You get the +3 to your charges. Let's make that +4. Make it a 5-up coming in from Deep Strike. That's huge. And then Sacrificial Dagger, again, that's not something that most of them will be able to use because you have to do a psychic attack. That said, the Sorcerer could use it. Like, certain ones do have psychic. In fact, let's check. Terminator Sorcerer, it is psychic. So Infernal Gaze, actually, you get +1 to hit and +1 to wound. Damn, I didn't realize that until now. That's actually kind of big there. So definitely some options so far. And then lastly, you got Dark Commune. So okay, actually, this is kind of silly because they won't give anything, but they can take. So if you give them Soul Link, they can take any of the other models' abilities. So there's definitely a little bit of value there. Now, as for the combos, or like the best ones or whatever, to start off, I'll go with the fun ones. So, you can attach like I said earlier, you can attach a Warpsmith to freaking Havocs. They don't normally get anything from having this guy. That said, there's 2 that I could think of that might be a little valuable. So if you had a regular sorcerer, maybe you did a regular sorcerer and you gave him the Shroud Relic and you just have him sit on your home field objective so he can't be shot from 12 inches and then can't really be deep struck easily using the stratagem, so you can get -1 to hit. The other one that I think would be big is stealing the Chaos Lord ability from the Lords. You can have a free, either a free battle tactic or use one twice. And don't forget the Pick Them Off, I believe it's called. You get the reroll hits, potentially reroll wounds. You can do it on 2 units, and one of them being free. So I thought that it's not like the most competitive, but I thought it was a fun little combo. Another fun one, and potentially powerful, Master Possession with a Possessed Bomb. He could steal, like, the +1 to wound from the Apostle. That'd be pretty strong. Reroll all hits, potentially wounds from the Master Execution. That would be huge. And probably the best one would be the Terminator Sorcerer. So reroll the advance and charges, and give an additional AP to your Possessed. I think all those are pretty huge. Everything that applies to this guy could apply to Accursed Cultist as well. That'd be another route to maybe consider, especially if you're going the Accursed Cultist route. And then the last one, I think this one might be strong actually. Jump Lord stealing the Cultist Firebrand's ability with your Raptors. So Raptors give the -1 to leadership test, and then shooting with the Cultist Firebrand forces the Battle Shock test. So with Raptors, yeah, you could force a Battle Shock at -1. That might be huge, especially if it's like a clutch turn or clutch objective. And don't forget, Raptors force a Battle Shock test when they get into melee. So, dude, you'd be forcing 2 Battle Shock tests at -1 leadership. I think that's low-key actually a pretty strong combo right there. As for the best ones, though, so Master Executions, handing out the rerolls, that's going to be ultra common. You're going to see that all the time. Basically works on any and every unit. The Lord ability, handing out his extra damage, that's going to be used like 24/7. One who might like using that the most is probably Master Execution. So do remember, you're losing out on the reroll hits and wounds. It replaces your datasheet ability, so you don't get both. That said, he has the dev wounds and precision. So you get him, what, 6 attacks, strength 8, -3 AP, 3 damage with dev wounds and precision? Like, that's pretty huge. That's probably the most powerful one. The other most powerful one would definitely be the Terminator Sorcerer, so anybody who needs it, whenever they need it, they can give the +1 AP on their unit's attacks. But probably the best character to like give the soul link for that, potentially, would be the Jump Lord, because yes, he can still deep strike, he has lots of movement, he has the 6-inch consolidates, all that sort of stuff. And then Terminators would be similar as well. They wouldn't be able to jump over screens or anything, but they would be able to deep strike in at the very least, and they're also really resilient, so the odds of them dying, like, not that high. So again, I think a lot of the army's power is going to revolve around that Soul Link and like getting the most out of it. Not just Soul Link, but all the enhancements. The Cursed Fang is fantastic. The Shroud is super fantastic. So lots of power just there alone. But now I'd like to show you guys a few different army lists. I put a few together. I did run one of them and had pretty good results. Now, huge disclaimer, these aren't like hyper optimized yet. These definitely could use a little bit of work, but still, I want to show you guys a few different styles, a few different routes you can take them. So this is this is the first one. This is like Horde mode, and this can be one of the more popular, at least while people are still figuring it out. So what, we got Huron with a squad of Legionaries, so unfortunately you can't infiltrate him, but he'd be good, he'd be okay at like holding down the home objective with his reactive move and all that stuff. If somebody deep strikes in, it might not be that terrible. We got 2 Master Executions with full-size Legionaries. We got a Chaos Lord here, leading his own blob of Legionaries. Of course, we got 3 maxed out squads of Cultists with 3 Dark Communes, definitely want to do that. And then the must-haves, 3 squads of MSU, unfortunately, MSU Warp Talons. I would consider, try it out on your guys' end, turning one into a 10-man, or bringing, like, more of them. Bring, like, 3 10-mans, that'd be fun. And then finally, to round it out, I did want some firepower, so I brought the Predators. Now, originally, when I wrote this list, I was going to go even more Horde mode. So I was basically going to bring 6 squads of Legionaries, 6 squads of Cultists. I don't think that's the best route to go. Truthfully, if that's a route you are considering, like, I'd probably look into Chaos Cults. Check out the review video. I had a lot of fun with that one. If you watch the first half of that video, I'm super ultra down on them and talking a lot of, like, smack. And then at the end, I started to come around, like, damn, Chaos Cults, like, yeah, they got a little bit of play to them. But regardless, I don't think going ultra Horde mode is, like, the right route. That said, maybe it is, man. It would be a hard stat check. And again, you're infiltrating everything. So if your opponent can't clear them fast enough, because for sure, like, even this, a lot of them are going to die really fast, but if you're able to outscore them before they clear out everything, hot diggity dog, man, there might be some power behind it. As always, so I'll post the links in the description below, so if you guys want to either try these out on your end, or better yet, like, tweak them to how you play or your local meta, like, by all means, go on ahead and do that. But yes, this is first style, so this is, like, sort of Horde mode. Horde mode with Huron, as I'd like to say. Horde mode. So the second list, this one goes, this is the more reserve style. So this still brings, you know, a bunch of infantry to shove in their face, but I don't go full max squads. In fact, it's MSU versions. I do think 1 squad of maxed out Cultists is probably the good route to go. There we go. 1 squad of maxed out Cultists, because for real, guys, all the board coverage you're able to get with that, with just a single squad, sticking multiple objectives, all that sort of stuff. Don't forget the anti-deep strike 12-inch bubble stratagem, ultra powerful there. For characters, so gotta have the Terminator Sorcerer, brought the Sorcerer, got a Chaos Lord, 2 Master Executions. Bikers went down in price, so I brought 2 MSU squads. So that's right, the big theme of this is, yes, you forward deploy all the infantry, and then you have a second wave coming right behind them. So I got the Bikers for the speed. They mostly would be doing, like, objective play, but they do have okay firepower with the Meltas. I got 2 Maulerfiends. Again, this is second wave, a big blob of Possessed. I'd probably give this dude the Soul Link, but obviously you got options there. And I brought 2 MSU Possessed to, again, play objectives and act as is the second wave. They're like extra resilient, so you shot through the like weak stuff, the chaff. Well, now you're into the meaty boys. And then, as always, I brought some Warp Talons. Yet again, you might consider combining them into a 10-man, and truthfully, that might be better, but you would get more board coverage. Not that you really need it with this list if you did split it up. I think this is pretty powerful. I'm actually, like, this is the list I tested the other night, and I had really good results. I ended up winning. It was a close game, but I did end up winning. So definitely something for you guys' consideration. I'll call it the second wave method or whatever. I definitely think it's a valid strategy, especially with Deceptors, with every list, but especially with Deceptors. Third up, let's see, I always forget what I made before I load them, but that's right. This might be more competitive. This was if I was going to bring him to a tournament, what do I maybe think I would run? So I brought Huron again. I think he's really competitive, for Deceptors especially. The redeploy, even though it's before you know who goes first or whatever, that's still ultra powerful. You can play mind games with your opponent. I brought 1 brick of Legionaries and then 2 MSU Legionaries. We got 3 MSU Cultists. Truthfully, I would consider making 1 the 20-man, because again, all the board coverage, move blocking, all that sort of stuff. I had the must-have. You got the Sorcerer Lord. Gave him a bodyguard of Terminators this time. That way he doesn't just like die immediately. I'm able to steal his ability with my Soul Link pretty often. I'd probably put the Soul Link on the Chaos Lord this time. Got the Warp Talons, must includes. Got Nurglings. Now you would think, and it's a valid criticism, that these don't mesh very well with the Infiltrators. Well, that's not why I'm bringing them. I'm bringing these guys as cheap Deep Strikers. They're mainly there for like secondaries and mission play. And then the heavy firepower. So, Vindicator, must have, 2 Destructor Predators, and then a Forgefiend. I do think Forgefiend, you're going to start seeing them again. Like, thank God, man. They're one of my favorite. Look at how cool. They look so freaking awesome. How can you not want to run them? But I do think they have, with the triple blast, I think that's very valid. Into the first list I showed you, I would hate to go up into that guy. Even this list, if it was like a super mirror match, shooting the blob, like, that would do a lot of work right there. But yeah, basically, the strategy with this guy is, you know, gum up the board with a lot of chaff, hopefully, like, delay their movement, got a bunch of heavy hitters sitting in the back shooting you, and most likely you're like, damn, I need to get rid of the people in my face, but fuck, I'm getting shot every single turn by these dudes. And then you got some of the like scalpels, so the Warp Talons and the Terminators coming in doing like the fine tuning or the fine murdering, I guess you could say. And then I do have a bonus list. I normally only show 3, but this time I'll show 4. I've seen a few people talking about this style, so I figured, yeah, why not try it? So this goes Terminator heavy. This plays into the second wave resiliency, like hardcore, with the Terminators. Basically, again, you're gumming up the board with the MSU squads. This brings what, 4 squads of cultists. I do got 1 blob, and then 3 MSU legionaries. And then maybe on foot, potentially deep struck. And you could deep struck because your odds of getting screened out are pretty low. But these guys would just sit on the objective. And the whole point is like, yeah, I'm probably going to get tabled, but I'm scoring for hopefully 3, hopefully 4 turns before you get to me and like clear stuff out. And for characters, so that is the one route that went a little low. I only have 1 Chaos Lord. I got the Terminator Lord, and then the Terminator Sorcerer, and then the Terminator Lord. I would like to bring more characters. That potentially be something you could change. Maybe do like MSU Terminators or something like that. But I have seen people say they've had okay success with this. It's a fun style. The whole like, I don't care if you table me, but I'm trying to outscore you. I think it's a fun route to consider. That's the whole point of these lists. It's not always to show you like the most competitive thing. It's to give you ideas of on your end to like directions you can take the army, or maybe some playstyle you didn't consider before. That's like the whole point of these. They very much could be optimized. Again, I'll post them all in the description below, so if you guys want to check them out on your end, like, you're more than welcome to. But regardless, my goodness, man, am I hyped on Deceptors. I think they're going to be, like, even if they aren't the most competitive thing ever, which I think they are competitive, a good general will take these guys really far. But even if they aren't, my god, man, they're like one of the more fun kind of armies you can play. There's all sorts of, like, mayhem and confusion you can cause even before the game starts, man. You can be playing mind games with your opponent. If you got Huron, you very much can be playing mind games with them. Like, ooh, am I going to redeploy that? Am I going to redeploy those infiltrators? I don't know, you know. I think that's really fun. The double react move, I think that's really strong. Obviously, all the enhancements that you can toss on, dude, all the character options, I freaking love it. I need to, damn it, now I'm like regretting that I didn't. I should have wrote a list that brought every single character. That would have been so fun. Could you guys imagine? Damn, what am I thinking? Now, okay, I gotta re-record this whole thing. Somebody try that and let me know how it goes. But all in all, Deceptors, I think GW knocked it out of the park. This is a really fun detachment. There's a reason they previewed it before all the others. A lot of people are really hype on these guys, not only from the power and like the fun perspective, but just the fluff, dude. Like I said in the beginning, Alpha Legions, like, so cool. They have like such a fun story behind them. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful for some of you guys out there. Again, I hope it gave you like some ideas to try. If you guys haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing. The channel's freaking exploding, man. I checked my phone right before, so I need yeah, I've gotten like 50 subs a day. It's insane. So I appreciate you guys. It's not a big deal, but just a heads up, I do have a Patreon. There is some overhead associated with this. My last internet bill was like 150 bucks because I'm uploading videos all the time. So feel free to check it out. It's not the biggest deal. I'm not here for the money, but you know, it would be helpful. But regardless, again, I hope you guys got some good use out of this. Good luck out there, and remember, I am Fat Alpharius.